All things that are on earth hasten to their end, and the world droops towards its end, oppressed by the weakening of its forces and its many tribulations and calamities. This quote from Hildegard of Bingen notes that as we approach the end of time, people will notice the increasing speed at which time passes. During her medieval period, things were rather static and certainly not a fast-paced way of life, though in modern times, increasing numbers of people comment on the quickening of time in their personal lives and increasing frequency of historic world events. For Hildegard of Bingen to have made these observations even a century ago would have been quite remarkable, but these prophetic words were said over 9 centuries before today. Now, an increasing number of people are realizing that one medieval woman could have vital information for modern society through a gift which many call divine prophecy. Centuries before Nostradamus in his remarkable works, Hildegard of Bingen was in regular contact with kings, queens, and high authorities within the church. Also known as Sibyl of the Rhine, her gifts were so well regarded, even Thomas Becket and King Henry II exchanged letters with her. It is remarkable that Hildegard of Bingen is not as popular today as her fame in the medieval ages. Her many miracles and accuracy of visions in medieval times made her command a rare degree of respect for a woman's knowledge, though it is her prophecies on the end of time and the coming of the Antichrist which a growing number of people are rediscovering. Medieval to Modern will address both subjects in 2 episodes. The first episode will cover her prophecies for the end of time. The next episode will deal with the Antichrist. Medieval to Modern feels these prophecies of Hildegard of Bingen must be heard today if one realizes the exceptional gifts she possessed in her fascinating life. Hello everyone, my name is Craig, host of Medieval to Modern. We feature fascinating information from civilization's medieval ages. Thank you for joining us today, and please be sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to help grow this channel. We shall begin with a brief introduction to this great medieval Christian mystic woman. Hildegard of Bingen was born in 1098 in the county of Sponheim, modern-day Germany, to a family of lower nobility. She was sickly from birth, though her childhood soon revealed an extraordinary gift. Even then, Hildegard of Bingen possessed a power which she called the Shade of the Living Light. Hildegard of Bingen would display this gift of visions to others through speaking and through signs. Her family offered Hildegard of Bingen as an oblate to the monastery at Dissel-Bodenberg at age 8, placing her under the care of Blessed Jutta, sister of the Count of Sponheim. There, Hildegard would speak of her supernatural gifts with companions. After the age of 15, Hildegard of Bingen did not speak of this inner light, though did speak of her visions into the future of things to come. She received these visions while completely awake, saying that she looked inwards into her own soul as it pleased God. It was in 1141, at age 42, this nun and polymath began receiving the powerful visions which would form the 26 contained within her book Scivias. Hildegard of Bingen states she was instructed by a voice from heaven to write these prophetic visions she had received since childhood. Her spiritual director, the monk Volmar, told her to follow this voice and do its wishes. Bernard of Clairvaux and Pope Eugenius III would later give their endorsement. As this abbess describes it, she saw the heavens open up and a glowing bright fire which flowed through her head, heart, and body in a gentle heat which did not burn. Through this experience, Hildegard of Bingen was given the meaning of the Old and New Testament. These instructions did not come in Latin, which she did not use, though in a way she could understand. During her lifetime, she performed many miracles and founded 2 monasteries. 20 of these miracles were recorded by her biographer Theodoric, a Benedictine monk, based on previous memoirs from another monk. Hildegard of Bingen, who by this time displayed many talents including music, cosmology, botany, early medicine, and theology, passed away on September the 17th, 1179. It is from Hildegard of Bingen's landmark book Scivias, short form for Know the Ways of the Lord, which contains 26 visions from which we source her prophecies on the end of time. This book covers history from creation to the final judgment. In her 11th vision for the end of time, the latter days begin when Christendom falls because of 5 ferocious epochs. These eras are represented in her visions as 5 successive periods before the Antichrist. Each period she's seen as a beast, which symbolized the mood of that era. Hildegard of Bingen stated these periods will happen after she passes. Then, a tremendous triumph of the Holy Church will be won. It is only after these events that Hildegard of Bingen says the Antichrist and the end of time will appear. Let us witness how the end of time will unfold in Hildegard of Bingen's own words. Then I looked to the north, and behold, 5 beasts stood there. One was like a dog, fiery but not burning. Another was like a yellow lion, another was like a pale horse, another like a black pig, and the last like a grey wolf. And they were facing the west. And in the west, before those beasts, a hill with 5 peaks appeared, and from the mouth of each beast, one rope stretched to one of the peaks of the hill. All the ropes were black, except the one that came from the mouth of the wolf, which was partly black and partly white." End of quote. We continue with Hildegard of Bingen's own words on the nature of these beasts, which she referred to as the 5 ferocious epochs of temporal rule. Each beast is an era occurring in succession. Let us continue with her visions. "One is like a dog, fiery but not burning, for that era will produce people with a biting temperament who seem fiery in their own estimation, but do not burn with the justice of God. Another is like a yellow lion, for this era will endure martial people who instigate many wars, but do not think of the righteousness of God in them, for those kingdoms will begin to weaken and tire, as the yellow color shows. Another is like a pale horse, for those times will produce people who drown themselves in sin, and in their licentious and swift-moving pleasures neglect all virtuous activities. And then these kingdoms will lose their ruddy strengths and grow pale with the fear of ruin, and their hearts will be broken. And another is like a black pig, for this epoch will have leaders who blacken themselves with misery and wallow in the mud of impurity. They will infringe the divine law by fornication and others like evils, and will plot to diverge from the holiness of God's commands. And the last is like a grey wolf, for those times will have people who plunder each other, robbing the powerful and the fortunate, and in these conflicts they will show themselves to be neither black or white, but grey in their cunning. And they will divide and conquer the rulers of those realms, and then the time will come when many will be ensnared, and the error of errors will rise from hell to heaven. And then the children of light will be pressed in the winepress of martyrdom, and they will not deny the Son of God, but reject the son of perdition, who tries to do his will with the devil's arts. And these beasts are facing the west, for these fleeting times will vanish with the setting sun. For people rise and set like the sun, and some are born, and some will die." End of quote. Those events set the scene for the coming end of time. There are various researchers that say these occurrences can be applied to what has transpired in the past century. For example, the divided Germany after World War II and growing secularism with its views on papacy. The great nation in the ocean has been referred to as the United States or United Kingdom. Here again is Hildegard of Bingen's own words for this frightening scenario. "The time is coming when princes and peoples will reject the authority of the Pope. Some countries will prefer their own church rulers to the Pope. The German Empire will be divided. Church property will be secularized. Priests will be persecuted. After the birth of Antichrist, heretics will preach their false doctrines undisturbed, resulting in Christians having doubts about their holy Catholic faith. Towards the end of the world, mankind will be purified through sufferings. This will be true especially of the clergy, who will be robbed of all property. When the clergy has adopted a simple manner of living, conditions will improve. A powerful wind will rise in the north, carrying heavy fog and the densest dust by divine command, and it will fill their throats and eyes, so they will cease their savagery and be stricken with great fear. After that, there will be so few men that 7 women will fight for one man, that they will say to the man, 'Marry me to take the disgrace from me.' For in those days it will be a disgrace for a woman to be without child, as it was by the Jews in the Old Testament. Before the comet comes, many nations, the good excepted, will be scoured with want and famine. The great nation in the ocean that is inhabited by people of different tribes and descent, by an earthquake, storm, and tidal waves, will be devastated. It will be divided and in great part submerged. That nation will also have many misfortunes at sea and lose its colonies in the east through a tiger and a lion. The comet, by its tremendous pressure, will force much out of the ocean and flood many countries, causing much want and many plagues. All seacoast cities will be fearful, and many of them will be destroyed by tidal waves, and most living creatures will be killed, and even those who escape will die from a horrible disease. For in none of these cities does a person live according to the laws of God. Peace will return to Europe when the white flower again takes possession of the throne of France. During this time of peace, the people will be forbidden to carry weapons, and iron will be used solely for making agricultural implements and tools. Also during this period, the soil will be very productive, and many Jews, heathens, and heretics will join the church. End of quote. Be sure to watch the next episode of Medieval to Modern for Hildegard of Bingen's Prophecies on the Antichrist. Thank you for supporting us at Medieval to Modern. Please be sure to watch our next episode or one shown at the end of this video. Also be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and spread the word about this channel so we can create more exciting content. I wish you good tidings as we remember that sharing knowledge has been a noble deed throughout the ages.